Brilliant. And we are now live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Dave, thank you for being my co-host this week. If you wouldn't mind, introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, cheers, Christian. My name's Dave Wilkins. I'm a British guy living in the Netherlands. Been here for about 16 years now. Been in B2B SaaS for the last 12 years. Starting out as a sales development rep, moving into leadership roles, running global SDR teams, and now doing a little bit of consulting around top of funnel, and also running a community for SDR leaders in EMEA, originally called SDR Leaders of EMEA.
Love it. Thank you for joining. Everyone who's not watched before as well. So I'm Christian, working at Comstor as a go-to-network evangelist. We'll get more into that as we go on. But Dave, yeah, you've been in the SDR space for quite some while. Before we get onto the future of SDRs, let's go all the way back 10 years ago to Palo Alto Networks. That's where it all began for you.
Yeah, where it all began. Yeah. What I find really funny now is, like, I had no idea about who Palo Alto Networks were, and what they did, or what an SDR was, and they'd just gone public the year before, massive IPO, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, and I just didn't believe anything what was being sold to me. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to go and get training over in San Francisco. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, yeah. And then I was told by my boss, like, Dave, you're leaving in 2 weeks. You need to book your ticket. And I was like, oh, okay, this is actually real. This is actually this is like a proper company. And yeah, so that was my entrance into the world of B2B SaaS.
What were the tools you used back then? Like, how did you go about your day?
So what did we use? We had Connect and Sell. Yeah, and that was about it, I think. Oh, I think we had an old version of what was it called? Discover.org that got acquired by ZoomInfo, that did account mapping and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was about it. And we didn't really need anything else, because Palo Alto was it was next generation firewalls. Everybody wanted to speak to Palo Alto. So it was quite easy, really, to get meetings, to book them. So we didn't really have to do much outbounding, we just had so many inbounds coming in.
And so the tool you mentioned, that was for emails or for phones?
For Connect and Sell was for phones. That's what we did, just call people. There was no such thing as sequences. There was no such thing as multi-channel. It was make calls, make dials.
Do you remember when email became more readily available, and back then we were like, this changes the game?
I've never felt that email changes the game, and I had an old boss at the next company I was at called Double Dutch. His name's Russ Hull. Shout out to Russ. He hates emails. He was just like, make dials, and so he would say the emails are hey, I am. It's a break in the phone call, and I'm trying to get hold of you, and I will call you. So I've never really been one for emailing, which is good, because I've really bad dyslexia and I can barely write. So it's so phone calls always been my strong suit.
Love it. And you're doing some consultancy now with multiple different companies.
Yeah.
What channels do you see work for everyone? What's working really well for one company and not for others?
Again, it's like I think we've gone through this full circle piece, where at the start of the year, AI SDRs were the latest thing, much like how crypto and NFTs were the latest thing, and then much like those two, it's kind of died down. And a big thing is because the big appeal of AI. SDRs was, oh, we can personalize at scale, emails, blah, blah, blah. But then bad emails were already being sent by humans. And then we're having now bots sending bad emails out to humans. And so this kind of the death of the SDR, which is, I find hilarious and clickbaity, has died down, because it's, humans want to talk to humans, and people want to talk on the phone or via voice messages or via video. That's the best way of getting hold of people, not an email that is not very good, and expecting that you're going to get loads of replies from your not very good email.
So what are you advising companies then on, like, future proofing? Because obviously it sounds like it's not AI SDRs. Like, what can they be doing now to prepare themselves for the next few years?
Yeah, so I think what we had during COVID was people entering the workforce who weren't able to learn by osmosis and learn from their peers in the room that they were calling in. And people just became more closeted and stopped talking to one another and stopped wanting to have like conversations with one another. Became very insular. So people hid behind an email that you're not going to see somebody's reaction. You're not going to speak to somebody and have a dialogue. And so what's happened is that kind of, you got these SDRs that started during that period, and no fault of anybody's, but they're just there and not progressing is the same way as people before and then people after. And the one big thing I say about outreach is you need to have calling as the foundation, because if you want to build a business and use this SDR team to be your next salespeople, if they can't have a conversation with somebody over the phone, how are they going to be able to negotiate a deal for you when it won't work? So the other thing as well is there's a level of projection around people not wanting to, SDRs not wanting to pick up the phone because, no one wants to speak to you. No, that's you. And generationally, we've still got people like me with even grayer hair who are going to be in positions of power that are expecting to want to have conversations with people over the phone and expect it. And so it's still a critical part of outreach for the enterprises that we work with, and it's proven still that it works better.
Love it. And you're a friend of kind of go-to-network as well. How do you see go-to-network fit with that?
Yeah, so it goes back to I said about video and voice as well. Is it's about how to have those kind of quality conversations with people. And again, if it's people who, if you can, what's the word I'm looking for? If you can engage with people on a human level, like by warm introductions or things of that nature, and then have a normal conversation either via voice or via video, then it's going to be so much more powerful to do it that way than just sending out cold emails and not getting anywhere. And I think that's it's a big part. Again, I suffer from it still, not wanting to ask people for recommendations or referrals and stuff. We all suffer from that kind of imposter syndrome of asking it, but it's still a really important piece of a go-to-market motion. Yeah.
On the referral piece, I read this research recently, and I can't stop sharing it whenever referrals come up, so I have to share it again now. It was in Harvard Business Review back in June, and it was referred customers are also much more likely to refer more customers. So asking for a referral and getting it actually increases the likelihood of getting more referrals. It's a snowball rolling down the hill. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and I think it's again, it's just people just need to realize, and I don't know if it's a cultural thing as well, and I don't know if it's a European versus an American thing, but in Europe, I don't know if we're a bit more like, I'm not sure if it's a bit rude to do something like that, but in America, they're just whatever. network and ask people, whoever. I don't know if there's that kind of cultural piece as well.
Yeah, I've always found Americans like enjoy buying more than Europeans. Like the buying process is something that like, oh, I get to be the buyer. Okay, cool. Like let's go through this. Where EMEA, I think we're always a little bit more worried about, oh, if I give them this information, they're the seller. They might use this information against me. I've definitely found that difference.
We had a friend of mine, Malcolm Murphy. We were on when I was reporting to him, we were trying to buy a piece of software, and he told in EMEA, and he told the company exactly what he wanted, and they still wanted to put him through a process. And he was like, no, I want this, and I want this, and this. And I think they thought he was joking, or like it was a game. And then we ended up not buying from that person because he just didn't understand that we were actually being just like his money. So we had to buy from someone else in the same company. It was just,
no way.
Yeah.
In the same company.
Yeah, because it was just like so robotic, or like, oh, I'm not really sure if you're really being serious here. I don't know. It was weird.
But you often have people, well, often it occurs that SDRs sometimes have to deal with buyers who go, no, I just want to speak to an AE. Like, how do you help SDRs through that? Yeah, that part of the selling process.
Yeah, I've conflicting views on this, because I think that that's an objection to try and get out of not meeting, or it's just because people now know, like, look, we don't want to waste as an SDR organization or as a selling organization, we don't want to waste our time, and we don't want to waste the buyer's time. So if you're serious, you know that you need to, for it to be a better experience for you as a buyer, you need to give some information about why you want to talk to us, and what was it about what I said to you that triggered a yes. And it's and I heard it as well, and it's like, and you just have to, and you have to disqualify them out. And it's like, look, this is, I don't want to waste your time by just blurting out everything about what we do on a slideshow, like on a PowerPoint. They're the worst kind of meetings. So I really want to understand a little bit more about what you're looking for. And if they're not going to give it, it's like, okay, well, obviously now's not the right time. So here's our website, and I'll talk to you, get back in touch. And I think it's even when I was in AE, people were doing the same thing as well. Like, just show me what you do. And it's like, well, what?
Yeah.
What do you want me to show you? Why?
I can solve 100 different problems. Like, I don't know which problem you have exactly.
So I think on one of those meetings, I cut it short and went, hey, obviously this isn't the right fit. Like, you're not in the position to have a conversation right now. So all the best. And because it's just like, there's just, again, so people in EMEA or everyone, they don't want to be sold to, but then you have those situations still where people are like, not, just not giving stuff away, like not letting you know why they wanted to talk to you in the first place. And it's like, we're not mind readers. I'm not Paul Daniels. I've
had it in the past where people are like, I want an exact price. And I'm like, oh, okay, these are the inputs I need to be able to give you an exact price. Well, I don't want to give you that yet. It's like, well, okay, well then I'm going to give you a range. Like I'll even show you basically the calculator. I'm not trying to trick you here. Like I just, if you want this from me, you have to give me something first.
It's an interesting piece. And I think it goes back to how you build rapport with people during the process, like trying to book meetings with people. So again, if it's just a phone call is normally a really good way of booking a meeting, because you can be a lot more agile and asking questions and digging in and being that gatekeeper to, disqualifying out that lead.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's just over email, they book a time via a Calendly or I'm free on this time, then you've got no understanding really of what they want.
Jumping around a little bit, but I want to get onto this topic. SDR leaders of EMEA. Walk me through what you're working on.
Yeah, so a bit of background on SDR leaders of EMEA. So I realized that late last year there was no support, no network for sales development leaders in EMEA. And what was really frustrating me is that there is so much leadership talent here in Europe, Middle East, and Africa, but they're kind of like second-class citizens. And I just think, and also it's like if you might just be a first-time SDR manager in London or in Paris, and your boss might be in the States, and you might have very strong sales and marketing leaders that are pushing down on you. You might have SDRs who you don't know how yet to manage them. I've got this. I always use this example of there was somebody at a company who an SDR said, "I can't come into the office today because there's a mouse in my house," and it's like, okay, well then, and then they're a first time managers. Like, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, make a community, build a community for it. And so I started out on New Year's Eve, just gone, and we're now at like 2,500 members in the community in Europe. We got in October 5 events, in-person events coming up: Amsterdam twice, London, Tel Aviv, Berlin. Yeah, that's 5. And we've got loads of different virtual events, and we have a really thriving community as well on Slack. And I say that because you go on some Slack communities and there's not a lot going on.
Yeah.
And there's loads going on in our community of just like people asking questions about, hey, what about this? What about that? We've got a really thriving jobs board as well. So yeah, that's what I do on a daily basis, and got some great people helping grow the community further, and just trying to get a bit better with it and helping everyone every day. And
you've got a survey coming up. Walk me through what you're looking to find out and how it's going to work.
Yeah, this is an exclusive here for the show. It's going to get announced on Tuesday. One of the big things that we noticed as a community, a lot of people are asking, okay, what's the salary range for an SDR in Berlin? Or, hey, what should the quotas be for SDRs in the enterprise space? What should my tech stack be? And we realized that there's just no information for SDR leaders in EMEA on any of that information. It's all US centric. So I just thought, let's do a survey and let's find out. And so we're gonna, thanks to you guys at Comsor as well for helping us out with this, and we're gonna launch it on Tuesday and really build out this first of its kind state of sales development in EMEA survey, and give people access to all this kind of information of what should the salaries be for an SDR, what should my salary be as a manager or as a director in different cities as well, and really just try and empower our leaders in the community to go to their bosses and say, this is the reasons why I want to do this. This is the data that proves it. So if we're underpaying or if we're over quoting, this is what the market standards are. So yeah, we're starting it Tuesday.
Love it. And what do you expect to find?
Yeah, what am I expecting to find? I'm expecting to find that SDR orgs are overquoting their teams. I think
as in overquoting, meaning giving too high a target.
Yeah, too high a target, and also not targeting the right things as well. That's my hypothesis. You should. I was taught that quotas. You shouldn't have SDR teams shouldn't be hitting 150% of their quota quarter over quarter. That's not good economic sense. You should be aiming for about a 90 to 95% attainment in your team on average. That's the little dirty secret around SDR target quota attainment.
It's the same with sales quota attainment. It's like, let's make sure that we're just under having to pay out the actual big bonus.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just a bit challenging, but it shouldn't be, SDR shouldn't be on like 50 to 40% of their quota attainment. But also how we measure them. So it depends really on the size of the business, but it shouldn't be on revenue. SDRs shouldn't be paid solely on revenue, but also they shouldn't be paid solely on booking meetings, because one is out of complete control of the SDR, and the other, there's no real financial conversions coming off the back of that. So it's going to be interesting to find that out, if my hypothesis was right, and also just give the community a chance to see about, okay, I'm a director, how much should I actually be being paid? What's the market standard? And so yeah, really looking forward to get digging into the numbers and figuring it all out.
And then, been in the SDR space at roughly 10 years. We fast forward 10 years from now. What do you think it's going to look like?
Much of the same. People still saying that SDRs are dead. Another more bandwagon jumping technology, saying how they're going to solve all the world's problems. I think really, I think my vision of how it will go is that we're going to get to a point where people who are in closing roles will not want the pressure of hitting their number anymore. We'll actually start to see people moving back into the SDR function.
Interesting.
But there'll be more of a strategic SDR role. So if you look at some of look at the Shells of the world, the Banks of America of the world, those huge conglomerates, you don't want an entry-level person digging into that account, because they just haven't been coached and enabled enough to really understand the complexities of a multi-billion-dollar, multi-business unit, politic-ridden organization. So I think what we'll start to see is more of these senior type people who are going, actually, I can make the same amount of money as an SDR, and working in more of that strategic role. And then on the other end, the kind of entry level piece will end up being more of a data engineer kind of role. So it'll be around creating data lists and working on copy, and spending like 8-9 months learning the craft of the function before really letting them be as a kind of a full-time SDR. I think that's where it will go. I don't know. We'll see.
And then will there still be entry-level, like en masse entry-level SDR roles as well, or that will fade?
I think it'll be that like go-to-market engineer kind of role. And then it would be that a kind of entry point to the business as well, because it could be that about, hey, actually, you've got some great skills, but you don't want to move into sales. So maybe you want to move into customer success, or you want to move into marketing. And I think it'll end up being that will be the entry point for them people to move into different roles. I just think that the economics of entry-level SDRs coming into enterprise-level organizations,
it's crazy.
It's starting to make less and less sense, and we'll start to see this kind of role that will develop and nurture talent first before we let them be fully fledged SDRs.
And then in all of this, where do you see AI and technology coming into play?
Yeah, I see it as like I think AI will make the good SDRs great, and it will make the bad SDRs lazier.
Yeah.
And if we let's look at some examples of like medic companies or pieces like that, where you need to do a lot of account planning and really understand the business of who you're trying to go after. And so currently you need to check like 10Ks or annual reports to really try and understand and distill what are kind of the executive priorities, what are some of the initiatives that the business is running. Like that kind of stuff you don't have to do anymore, like scan documents. You can put it into ChatGPT, you can put it into other applications that are starting to come out and create that information for you. And that's really powerful. And I think we'll see these kind of, we'll see technology reducing the amount of administrative time that's needed and give people back more time. So I don't know who did the study, but it's like 20 salespeople of 29% of their time is spent on actually selling. So if you can give people back 10%, they can be more efficient, but then also you won't need as many SDRs because they're not needing to do all of this heavy lifting. So I think that's where it'll really empower these people with real quality inputs for their work. But again, like we're never going to see like AI SDR people calling. Like that's just ridiculous. It's not going to happen. There's too many privacy and legal issues with that. Like emails, like they're written all the same by these bots. It's like, and then it's just going to be human to human interactions that are going to win.
Yeah, when I keep going back to like personalization by AI, it's still always going to use the same data source. So you'll get a personalized email, but 20 different companies will send identical personalized emails. It can be personalized to me while still being identical from each one of the senders.
Exactly. And so it's like, and you just know it by the language, and it's just like, oh God, here we go. And maybe it'll get better. But I think what's the issue that's going to come in for a lot of these companies now is that they are going to have burned these early adopters who always like trying new technology, and it's going to take years for them to rebuild that trust of, I've heard of companies that have got rid of all of their SDR organization to have an AI SDR. And then after 3 months, they're like, oh no, what have we done?
Oh God.
Yeah. That was funny when I got that message. I was like, okay, see what it's like in half a year's time. And so it's just going to be this rebuilding of trust, and it's going to, I think that's where it's going. It's the same with everything though. People that promise they're going to fix the world with an easy solution, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. We're making this week's episode short and sweet, so we're going to wrap up. But Dave, remind everyone where they can find more about SDR Leaders of EMEA and how the survey is going to work.
You can search for SDR Leaders of EMEA. That's where the community is. We're going to start announcing the survey on the 1st of October. I think it's going to be like 2:00 Central European time. Also, if you're not in EMEA but you want to have access to the survey, we've got a wait list that's going to get built out so you can get it, be one of the first people to receive it, fill it in. I need everybody. I need every SDR leader in EMEA filling it in. Let's help you kick 2025's ass.
Love it. That's the right way to set it up. Start it on New Year's Eve, ready to get everyone set up. So 2025 is big.
100%.
Awesome. Dave, thank you for joining me this week as my co-host. If people would like to learn more about GoToNetwork and ComSor, of course, you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on comsor.com, or feel free to reach out to me as well if you were looking to figure out how to leverage your network to find more warm intros and connections. Dave, thanks so much.
Cheers. That went fast.
Yeah.